What is going on, everybody, and welcome to my wish list for the Balatro 2025 gameplay update. It was announced in late 2024 that a free large-scale game content update would be coming to Balatro in 2025. Since that announcement, a lot has happened for Local Thunk and the Balatro brand, winning countless awards, introducing millions of new players to the game, launching a mobile version that has skyrocketed to #1 in gaming on app stores. However, the question that is on many people's mind is what exactly this game update will entail. Today, I'm going to go over my wish list of items for the free content update, explain the changes I hope to see in Balatro. I do want to be clear that none of these are expectations. This is a free game update, and whatever amount of new content or changes to existing content we get is a gift, as the game is already in such an incredible state. Local Thunk has already poured his heart and soul into the current version of the game, and really anything we get beyond that point is a cherry on top. So let's dive into my 2025 content wish list. So starting with #1, I would love to see 15 to 30 new Jokers in the game. I think adding Jokers is probably the most efficient way to add refreshment to the current game state, and that is for a multitude of reasons. One, it is new content for those who have completed the game to come back and to get their gold stickers on, so there's a reason for older players who have kind of felt like they finished Balatro to come back and achieve something a little bit more, maybe completionist plus, who knows. But I also think it can help change the meta of the game. 15 to 30 new Jokers I think would be the sweet spot. I don't think we need a full, another 300 Jokers, but I do think having a few, especially ones that span, economy Jokers, early game Jokers, mid, late game Jokers even, would be really nice to see. And we've seen from countless of mods, there is still a lot of content that could fit very well in the Balatro universe. Even, though some of those mods are pretty out there, there's been quite a few vanilla adjacent ones, and even some of the out there mods I do think could maybe still stay under Local Thunk's kind of rules for game crafting in Balatro. Personally, some of the ideas I have is I would love to see something buff the 6 through 10 range of cards. Currently, obviously, face cards are the best in the game. We don't even have to go over that, between Sock and Buskin, Shoot the Moon, even, Hit the Road Jack, which I do think may need a buff. Face cards have a lot of great options, and the key here is Sock and Buskin re-triggers them, and then Hack re-triggers 2 through 5s. Due to this, 6 through 10s, and to a lesser degree Aces, because I think Aces being special, being that wraparound card, being the highest card, has its own reason to build towards. 6 through 10s just are never really a great set of cards to build towards, and I think they could benefit from a re-triggering Joker. Maybe if it's even a re-triggering in hand type of Joker, but something powerful to give me an excuse, or really a reason to build towards that 6 through 10 mark that could get me into Ante 13, 14, 15, 16. But even less so, a reason to build towards those cards in the mid game would be cool. I mean, outside of 6 cents, there's really not much there. 8 Ball's okay. Cloud 9 is solid. 10-4 is fine. 7s really don't have anything. So 7 specifically really need a Joker. But outside of that, I would love to see that. I think something to help the wild card enhancement be even better would be cool. There is ways to play around wild cards. They just have so many debuffs, and by that I mean 4 boss blinds that kind of kill you, that it's hard to build around. I think to counteract that, they really need something more than even a Flower Pot or, let's say, Ancient Joker. Just one more synergy I think would be really helpful to them. And then finally, I would love to see more hidden mechanic Jokers. And one of my favorite things in this game is the whole Gross Michelle goes extinct and now Cavendish can spawn in the shop. I would love to see more interactions like that. It's almost like a little mini game inside the bigger overall game of Balatro, and a mod that did this very well. And I do think the overall concept is way too far out there for, a gameplay update, but maybe just maybe some inspiration is the Pokemon mod. The way you evolved your Jokers into more powerful Jokers was really cool, and it allowed for this really cool game inside a game mechanic. And there's plenty of examples of this with existing Jokers. You go on the quest to get 16 enhanced cards for driver's license, the quest to destroy all cards except for one card to make Idol really pop off. There are these games inside the game already, but I think really leaning into that is a fantastic move, and I would, if all 15 new Jokers were that type of Joker where you kind of have to build towards, or had a mechanic that could almost buff itself or maybe spawn a more powerful version later, I would be happy, because that's the kind of mechanic that I would love to see more in the game. So that wraps it up for my first item on the wish list. Moving over to number 2, I would love to see 2 more stakes when it comes to difficulties. And the reason I pick 2 very specifically is there's actually 10 stakes inside of Balatro's game files. Not everybody knows this. If you go into the game files, I think you can still see it, but it's also saved on the wiki. There is a yellow stake that is not featured in the game, and then there is a 10th stake that it basically looks like all the stakes combined with a little scary face on top, and I would love for these to be added to the game. If I had an idea of what I would go with, I think yellow Joker or yellow stake could either add another tag to Jokers or maybe add a tag to something else. Maybe it's a tag that creates I'm really spitballing ideas here, but perishable planet cards, rental planet cards, and I don't know exactly what that entails, but I think making a different aspect of the game a little bit more difficult would be really fun. I think we don't want to do inflation. We saw how out of control that got with the pre-update when Balatro launched. If you didn't know, packs basically would inflate at orange stakes, so they became super unaffordable in the late game. I don't want to make it unachievable to use consumable cards, but I think making something a little bit more difficult about them or interesting would be cool. And then the final stake, I am 100% stealing Balatro University's idea here. Shout out Dr. Spectred. Allow us or make us have to win ante 9, and there's a second final boss we have to play. I think that would be so cool. It might be a little too difficult, and the way I maybe counteract that is I would rework blue stake. I think this is also an idea that I probably first heard from Dr. Spectred, although I've heard it many of times, is that blue stake just kind of stinks. The -1 discard out of all the things, of all the stakes, is the one I hate the most. I would argue rentals difficult, perishable Jokers are difficult to deal with. Of course, the required scoring going up is difficult to deal with, but they all feel part of Balatro. Something about just removing one of my discards and making it feel like it's just a more luck-based hand-to-hand, I don't love. I would remove this. I would change it with something else that affects more of the shop aspect, like a lot of the other stakes focus on, or maybe the scoring aspect, or maybe blue stake is at round 4, you have one final boss, and then you have to play another final boss at 8, and then that final 10th stake is you have a third final boss in ante 9 that you have to win. I'm not sure. Local Thunk is the genius here, but I think something to do with the stakes, adding a couple bit more and reworking them a tad bit would be on my wish list. Moving to item 3, and this one is from the man himself, Local Thunk. It's getting daily or weekly challenges. This is something that is on the record as something that Local Thunk really wants to experiment with. I've heard multiple people kind of talk about this, and it would be great. It is a reason to maybe not log in is the correct term, but fire up Balatro every single day and try something out. Even cooler would be a leaderboard or some mechanic to kind of compare with your friends, or almost a badge that you earned by completing X amount of them. But all in all, just having the challenge at all is really something I think that would be very cool. The challenges, I didn't first love when I started playing Balatro, but once I was kind of close to completing it, I went through and I had a ton of fun. And if I could do, a daily challenge every single day, I would. Almost like your Wordle of the day, but it's for Balatro. And I think this is not more important, but and I hate to talk business in a video that should be all about making the game better, but I think it would be a great move for Balatro, especially with the success on mobile. It kind of gives everyone a reason to use the app every single day to go back in the game and have something to play to expand maybe the longevity of its lifetime. The game has already done incredible. This game, if it was never touched again, would be perfect 10 out of 10, and I'd be playing for far into the future. But I do think this is an aspect to keep things fresh for a really, really, really long time. And again, this is an idea that kind of stems from the creator themselves, and I've heard tons of people talk to as something they would enjoy, and we have to test it out. It could be, you implement this in the game and no one ends up really utilizing it as much as we thought, but I think it would be really cool to see. Moving on to number 4, let's add 2 more decks. I don't think we need to add 5 new decks. I don't think we need to add 15 new decks like I've seen a couple commenters say in my chat. But I think 2 would be a really cool number. You know, I'll be honest, I struggle to see what could they be. I've seen some really great ideas. There was even a few I think it was pre-alpha or alpha decks that Balatro has that were never implemented to the game. One of them, you start with a random Joker. Another set of 3 is you start with 1 polychrome playing card. You start with 2 holographic playing cards or 3 foil playing cards, something like that. I don't know if those are quite it, but I do think having 1 more deck that has to do with the shop, similar to Zodiac deck, but maybe in a different way, would be really cool. I would love. My one idea is to have a deck that gives you a 3rd booster pack in the shop. I think it would be really fun to play around that. And it's not necessarily about opening all 3. It's about having the option, seeing more spectral booster packs, seeing more even standard booster packs to get the cards you want. I think would be really cool. And then, of course, there's other things we could do to the playing cards. You could even in a deck have, you have a one random OP card I've seen kind of thrown out there. Instead of the polychrome deck of its polychrome, well, it has a random enchantment, enhancement, and seal to it. And you have that 1 special card you could go digging through your deck for and build around from the start. Maybe it's a little powerful, maybe not. But I do think it would be a lot of fun. But I would love to see 2 more decks. And this is a little bit of along the lines of the first wish, which was the more Jokers. And that is, I think it would bring back a lot of people who completionist plus the game or felt complete with Balatro, because it's a new challenge. It's a new thing that I now need to grind through the stakes with and have a lot of fun with. And I think it gives them a very specific reason to come back. Of course, I think everyone's going to come back and try the update, but to really put the hours back in, have a whole new experience with Balatro, I think this would add a lot. And I personally think it's something that maybe isn't as big of a lift as designing 15 to 30 new Jokers or designing new stakes. A new deck can be pretty straightforward and, you know, still be a ton of fun and still give you a reason to come try it out. Wishlist item number 5. I would love to see the Steam Workshop connected to the game for modding. Thunk and Playstack have done an incredible job supporting the modding community. Do not get me wrong, this game is modder friendly. They have a place in the Discord for us to communicate, to talk mods, to speak to the game, and not every game is so open to having that. And I think the modding community is extremely appreciative. I'm extremely appreciative of it as a content creator and someone who loves mods. But the one step farther we could go is having that connection to the Steam Workshop to really allow the casual Balatro player the option to mod their game and have fun with it. I think a perfect example of doing this well was City Skylines 1. Let's not talk about City Skylines 2, but City Skylines 1. The Steam Workshop implementation allowed you to really just go in there, and it was almost like a shopping spree at a supermarket. You just got to pick all the things that you want to go try out, launch up the game, and have fun. If you didn't like something, it was very easy to disable. You don't have to go through your game files. You don't have all these, you know, crashing issues. Not that Steam modded mods or Steam Workshop mods can't crash your game, but it just becomes a lot more professionalized, if you will. The fact that it's all through Steam and it becomes a lot simpler. So I would love to see that. I think it would do, it'd be that kind of next step of appreciation for the modding community, allowing them to have that access. And then so many more casual fans would be, you know, exposed to the great things that are being created by that modding community. I will say I don't know a metric ton about modding. I know how to do it. I can make guides on how to do it. I love modding. I understand it to a certain degree, but I don't know if there are some negatives associated with going through the Steam Workshop, and if there are, that could negate this whole wish altogether. So let me know down in the comments below if you have a little bit more information on that. Maybe there's a reason Playstack and Local Thunk have decided not to kind of go for that implementation thus far, or maybe it's just a lot more complicated than a simple gameplay update, and it's something they have on the roadmap for one day. Finally, I'd love to see some Joker tweaks. The first major update really switched up the meta. There was tons of tweaks to Jokers, and it led to, in my opinion, a much better meta. And shout out to Local Thunk to that, and shout out to all the playtesters who helped Local Thunk kind of figure out the sweet spot for those Jokers. And we even had a beta in the middle where we gave our feedback, and that was a ton of fun. but I still think there are some interesting changes that can be done to the game. I don't think every single Joker is perfect. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail in this video specifically about exactly what I would change, mainly because I don't think I'm an expert in game design, and Local Thunk is the expert, and I think a lot of other people have had better opinions than me on this subject matter. But if you do want to hear my thoughts and Dr. Spectre's thoughts on it, we do have a video about the 10 Jokers we both hate the most, and it really dives into how we would change them, how to make them maybe not more powerful, maybe not better for the game, but more rewarding, more fun to use. And I think that is a really great video. I don't think all my takes are the same as they once were, but I still think it's a really interesting watch to go see, and also to see how my opinion has changed over time, because it definitely has. But I'd love to see just some minor tweaks. This is always going to completely change up the meta. Even the most minor tweak will change how you approach a run in the future from now and forever for Balatro. So I welcome that, and that's something I'm hoping to see with this gameplay update. And that's it. Those are the 6 things on my wish list for the 2025 gameplay update for Balatro. Local Thunk, if you happen to watch this, thank you for making this incredible game and giving me the opportunity to be a content creator, something I've always wanted to do, and this game has given me an audience, and I will forever be thankful for it. Again, this game's a 10 out of 10. The wish list is not a demand list. Anything that we get feels like a reward, and we're blessed to have it. So again, I don't want this to come off like a video like, oh, these are the things that need to change in Balatro that we deserve as a community. This is just a fun video of things would be really cool to see, and you know, maybe I'm looking for, hoping for from this gameplay update. But without further ado, that's going to be it. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you did not, the dislike button. Hit subscribe if you've been enjoying the Zaino Balatro content, and comment down below what's on your wish list for the 2025 gameplay update. See ya.